project is a very important milestone in the history of our country. With the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, our ministry has worked very hard under the guidelines of President Xi for the development of the housing and the other residences sectors. We will continue with the reform and other innovations, and we have also made historic progress in this side. We have contributed our part to the successful completion of the first centenary goal. First of all, great success with the housing. We have the largest guarantee system for housing in the whole world. In 2019, the average surface per person in the city reached 39 square meters, and in the countryside, it's 48 square meters. We also have the public welfare rental houses, guarantee housing, and also the leasing system for the housing. So those are the several pillars for this public welfare guarantee system. We also have more than 80 million units of houses for the people in the difficult conditions. So today, people with low income or people receiving the subsidies from the government, they all have an access to the housing. And also for the people living in poverty, they also enjoy better housing conditions. We have multiple channels to guarantee people's access to housing. We also have the mechanism to stabilize the real estate price in the market. So today, the real estate market is developing in a very healthy manner. And third, for the urban development, we also have realized a historic record that is for the whole world to see. In 2018, we have already reached an urbanization ratio of 63%. We also have the urbanized surfaces of 61,000 square kilometers. We have followed the policies of the central meetings on the urban development. We have 1 respect and 5 coordinations as principles. We have redirected the development orientation for the cities. We have transformed the functions of the cities to make the cities more adapted to the needs of the people. And today, the cities have become more welcoming places for people to come to live and work. And we have made it easier for people to live in the cities. Their life has become better and more convenient. The urban and rural environment has also been upgraded and improved, especially for the safety housing for people living in those areas. For example, we have this program for the renovation of hazardous housing. For more than 20 million people, we have helped to innovate their houses in hazardous conditions. And for more than 10 million people receiving minimum living allowances, they have also witnessed this progress of innovation with their own housing. And for the registered 23 million households living in poverty, they have also received a guarantee policy for the housing. Today, we have decided to coordinate the rural and urban development. So we would like to keep up with the modernization of the villages and the countryside. For the rural development, we have this whole system of assessment, especially for the public facilities to facilitate people's daily life. We have attached great importance to that. In general, we have well managed and improved the quality of the living environment for the villagers living in the countryside, and more than 90 administered villages, they have the daily wastes and garbages collected by the services organizations. We are not only a big country in terms of the quantity of the housing, but also for the quality of the residences. We have offered more than 50 million job opportunities related to the construction of the houses. For example, the Daxing International Airport, as well as the big bridge project connecting the Zhuhai, Guangzhou. Those are very famous construction projects taking place in the country. We also have the safety guarantee system, so we can make sure that everyone working in this construction sector can have the basic guarantee for their safety at work. Today, we have entered a new stage of development. Talking about the urban rural development and housing, we should work harder to meet new demands and solve new problems. For example, the mismatch between the supply and offer for housing. Today, people have higher expectations for the quality of the housing. And for the urban development, we have to shift our focus from the quantity to the quality so that we can meet people's ever-growing demand for a better life, since we are in a new era of development. And we also have to notice the problem of lack of balance between the urban and rural areas, especially in the villages and the countryside. We have not yet modernized the full life of the villagers there, so we have to work harder to provide a better life for the farmers. We have to adopt the new outlook for development and also change our mindset. We should always put people in the first place and seek the high-quality development. We have to continue with the supply side structural reform so we can meet people's ever-growing demand for a better life. At the same time, we should not lose sight of the green development. We have to adopt a systematic way of work and continue to improve the system for the housing guarantee. We will also continue with the construction programs in the countryside and also the urban renewal programs in the cities. So today, the results and achievements of the reform can be shared by everyone living in this country, and we can give more tangible benefits to all the people in this country. And now I'd like to take your questions. Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Wang. Now the floor is open for your questions. And before giving your question, please first kindly identify yourself. Thank you. I'm from CCTV. I have a question for Minister Wang. You have mentioned that we have the largest housing guarantee system in the whole world. Could you please give us more details about that point? Thank you very much for this question. Talking about that housing guarantee system and its development, I know that you have been very interested in this topic. The central government and the CPC Central Committee have attached great importance to that issue. To accelerate the development of this basic housing guarantee, it's a way to ensure people's well-being. In the recent years, we have undertaken 3 major tasks. First of all, to establish the guarantee system composed of the leasing for housing. For example, the rental houses for public welfare. For this category, it's used for families living in the cities that have problems with both the access to housing and the income, low-income problem. For the families with low income already registered in the cities, we have basically solved the problems for all of those households. And also for the guarantee housing in the rental markets, especially for those large and medium-sized cities, we give access to those categories of housing to the people coming to the city for jobs, especially those young people. For example, for the younger generation, when they first enter this job market. They have a certain level of income per month, but they cannot afford the direct purchase of a housing, so they can choose to rent a house, rent an apartment at first. So that is one of the features of our guarantee system for housing. We also have different accommodation policies, for example, from the financial side and also the budgetary side, as well as from the other social and policy side. We have a huge number of this guarantee system for housing. From the 1990s, the State Council has decided to start a reform of the housing. Today, we have the number of these guarantee housing of more than 10 million. And we also have constructed different types of houses of a number of more than 70 million. For more than 20 million people living in difficulty, they are receiving the allowances to guarantee their basic living. During the 14th five-year plan period, we will continue to support this guarantee system of the rental houses so that there will be more supply in the market. And that is how we can achieve this goal of striving for access to housing for all. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the China Review of Hong Kong SAR. Over the past years, we have noticed that the development of real estate markets is quite stable. And what have you done to ensure the stability of the real estate market? I'd like to give the floor to Vice Minister Ni Hong. In 2018, State Council of China and also the CPC Central Committee have decided to stabilize this market, more specifically to stabilize the expectation of the people and the prices of the real estate in the market. First of all, we have to reaffirm the points that the houses are there for people to live in, not for speculation. That is the basic point, and then everything else follows. We have to take measures to fight against the speculation activities in the market and also to prevent the possible risks in this market of real estate. And we also urge the local governments at different levels of the hierarchy to remove the development, especially the short-term development of the real estate market as their assessment indicator of the performance of the authorities. And third, we have to take targeted measures and adapted solutions to this problem. We also have the surveillance system in place. So permanently, we have the monthly and quarterly supervision activities. This is how we can strengthen our control of the order, the good order and good function of the real estate market. After 2 years and more of experiment, we have enjoyed a quite stable performance of the real estate market. This means that this long-term mechanism applied by the State Council and the CPC Central Committee is quite effective. Moving forward, we will continue to apply this mechanism to stabilize the price of the land, the price of the houses, as well as the expectation of the people. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the Phoenix Media. The renovation programs of the old residences in the cities is a very important topic. And from the central level, authorities are also attaching great importance to this program. And what have you done in this area? I'd like to give the floor to Madam Wang. Thank you very much. As you have mentioned, the central government as well as the CPC Central Committee have attached great importance to the renovation of the old houses and residences. And in different cases and conferences, the state leaders have also stressed the importance of renovation program. 4 years in a row, in the government's work report made by Premier Li, it is mentioned that we have to continue with those renovation programs of the old residences for people. So our ministry, together with the other ministries, starting by 2017, have started our efforts in this area. We have also reviewed our experiences from the past, and we have strengthened the monitoring of this area, and we have undertaken 4 major tasks. First of all is the top design. Last year, the Cabinet of Administration of the State Council has published the opinions on the promotion of the guaranteeing housing, in which we have made it clear the principles and also the tasks about the renovation programs of the old housing. And second is that we have strengthened the subsidies and allowances to support the execution of those programs. In 2019 and afterwards, we have allocated more than 200 billion RMB to support those renovation programs. And at the central level, we also have supervision teams. At the beginning of the year, we will make a general plan, and later on, we will divide the tasks to each locale, and they will take up their own part of the task by their own. And especially this year, we have considered this program of renovation of the old residences as a key part of our daily work. And fourthly, we have shared with the rest of the country some good practices and some good examples. We know that the renovation programs of the residences is a very important part for the improvement of people's well-being. It's also an important facet of the capacity of governance of the local government. So that's why we have reviewed what we have done in the past to try to accumulate the experiences from the past. For example, for the old residences today, during the renovation, we will give people the new elevators, and we will also redo the surface of the facade of the buildings. During the 14th five-year plan period, we will accomplish the renovation work for 219,000 old residences constructed before the year 2000. In 2019, we have newly renovated more than 59,000 residences, and for this year, we will renovate more than 50,000 houses, which will benefit more than 90 million people. And talking about the renovation program for the old residences, we have improved especially the electricity, water supply, and the other facilities for people's daily life. We have dismissed all those possible risks in the residences, and we have tried to make their facilities in the daily life safer to use. All in all, by all those measures, we can give a sense of satisfaction to our people. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the BTV. In early August this year, The authority has started a collection of the opinions from the society. We would like to know the opinions of the people about the limits on the massive deconstruction. What is the impact of this document about the urban renewal? You know that in the past we have recognized a very high speed of the urbanization, and we have already entered into a later stage of the urbanization. As you know that the urbanization ratio in China has surpassed more than 60%. And since we are in a new era of development, today we are embracing new problems and new challenges. Today, the central government has also issued new policies and guidelines since we are in a different stage of development. In order to improve the quality of urbanization and meet people's ever-growing demand for a better life, and also to support the sustainable socio-economic development, we have to follow all those new directions and principles. Talking about the urban renewal programs, we know that in the past we keep the focus on the quantity, but today we have to shift our attention more to the quality side. So not only should we have the quantity in mind, but also the quality. For example, we have to improve the completeness of the function and also to improve the mix or the structure of the whole sector. This is also an important part to realize the transformation of the city's development. Urban renewal programs have been incorporated into the 14th five-year plan period. The locals, they are very active about this policy and they are very enthusiastic. For example, they have already elaborated a lot of detailed policies, but still we have to admit that some problems are also popping up. For example, some places are planning for the massive destruction or demolition of the old city areas, and some cities have even decided to give a massive cutting down of the old trees, and these are not correct decisions. After long-term deliberation, our ministry has decided to publish this notice to collect people's opinion about their ideas about this massive destruction and demolition endeavors. And this opinion has been published officially today by our ministry. And also to answer to your question, the impact of this document about the urban renewal. First of all, we have to set the baseline for this urban renewal. We have to avoid the immediate massive demolition. Of course, for those illegal constructions, we have to demolish those buildings. And for the rest of the city, we have to avoid massive demolition. And secondly, we have to avoid massive, immediate construction of large surfaces of buildings. We know already that in the downtown area and usually in the old city areas, there's already a huge density of the housing. And also, we have to listen to people's opinions. For the owners of the buildings, we also need to invite them into this process because we consider everyone as a part of this process of urban renewal, and we believe that everyone has a part to contribute to this great process of urban renewal. And also we have to pay attention to the daily life of the low-income families. We should avoid massive demolition because we don't want to cut the supply of the possible rental houses in the market immediately. So at least there will be some accessible offer to those low-income families. And also, we know that the downtown areas and especially the old city areas, they are part of the urban tissue and it's part of the local culture. We have to protect it. And fifth, the urban renewal programs should be applied in a progressive manner. First, we have to do the assessment and evaluation, and we have to reduce the burden, the financial burden falling on the shoulders of the local government. In the past, we have the only one monotone way of the exploitation. And today, we have to diversify the channels of contributors to this area. And we should not only do the programs for the superficial significance. We have to bring tangible benefits to the people. First of all, we have to tackle those issues and problems most related to people's daily life. We have just started this massive program of the urban renewal. We can also pick up some cities as the pilot areas, the pilot zones, and then based on that, we can gradually extend their experiences to the rest of the country. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the Financial Daily. We have set 2 indicators for the elimination of poverty in the countryside, and one important pillar is to guarantee the access to housing for the farmers. What have you done to help the farmers there? I'll give the floor to Vice Minister Ni Hong. We should guarantee the access to education, food, and clothing, as well as the medical care and housing for people living in the countryside. Those are the several criteria in the countryside considering this elimination of poverty. We have to work under the guidance of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council. As is mentioned by the opening speech of Minister Wang, we have guaranteed basic living for more than 20 million registered households living in poverty. So what have we done? More details for you. First of all, the renovation programs for the hazardous housing. We have the categorization system, the category A, B, C, and D to assess the quality of the building. A is for the good quality of housing, B for housing with some little problems, C for some local problems, and D for really dangerous housing. For the category C and D, those 2 categories are considered as housing that need a renovation. So village by village, we have to set up this platform for the renovation programs for the houses, and local governments would be the leader and also the authority, the body in charge. We also give the financial support to the local places so that even people living in poverty or in difficult conditions, they don't have to worry about this renovation programs with their own houses. And next is that we have to pay more attention to the quality of the houses and also improve the living conditions. We have trained our constructors for the places in extreme poverty. We have given targeted support and other relevant preferential policies to them. We have invited the local party secretaries from 3 different levels of the hierarchy to take in charge this work, and we will not lose sight of anyone living in the category C and D housings. If there is a problem detected, then immediately we'll find a solution to that. As you know that last year we have been hit by natural disasters like the flood, the drought, and the other challenges. And last year and this year we are hit by 2 rounds of earthquakes. The renovated houses are partly damaged, but we have the good news is that no one is hurt during that accident. And we know that today we have already lifted all the people from extreme poverty in this country, but that is not the finishing line. It's the starting point of another long-term endeavor. And basic living would be considered as a long-term program. We know that the houses, they are also like human beings. They have their own life cycles. Of course, there will be some houses gradually growing old. That's why we have to put in place the supervision system to monitor the current status quo of those houses. And from time to time, we have this regular system for the assessment of the quality for housing. And in doing that, we can meet people's demand. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the paper. We've noticed that for the younger generation, it's so hard for them to find an access to the housing. How can we help these people out? Again, to the Vice Minister Ni Hong. Last month, on the 7th of July, I was here to join the media. I have shared with you my understanding about the documents number 2022 from the State Council. The opinions about acceleration of the guarantee system of housing. For the new generation of youngsters, they have more difficulty in finding a good place to live. That is the problem we cannot avoid in this new era of development. We know that for the newcomers to the job market, for the younger generation, they don't have a lot of savings, and usually they have to live with a very moderate income. So most of them, they cannot afford the purchase of an apartment. They can only choose to rent an apartment currently. Of course, if you want to live in a downtown, you have to pay so much more per month. And if you cannot afford an apartment in the downtown areas, then in order to save money, you have to move to the more remote areas. In the central meeting on the economic development, it is already mentioned by state leaders that we have to solve the living problems, the housing problems for the younger generation, for the youngsters. We have to increase the supply of the land and also allocate earmarked funds to help those younger generations so that there will be more supply of the public welfare rental houses in the market. We will try our best to ease the tension and the pressure on the shoulders of the younger generation. Our ministry, starting by 2019, have kicked off the pilot programs in 13 cities in the country. At the same time, for big cities where we can find bigger numbers of newcomers to the job market and more arrival of the young people. We also have elaborated relevant policies. On the 18th of June, this document has been revised by the State Council, and later on it has been published officially. I'd like to recite some of the paragraphs. For example, this document is adapted to the real demand of the people to address the difficult housing problem for the younger generation. We have applied some science-based approaches to better balance the supply and demand in the market. We have 5 priorities as policies and also 6 institutions. For the 5 systems, first of all, for the younger generation and newcomers to the cities, we have clarified the standards of assistance. In general, the surface under 70 square meters and the rent lower than the average market rent. So that means smaller houses with cheaper prices for the younger generation. And the exact number would be set by the local government. And second, the match between supply and demand. And third, to urge the local government to shoulder their responsibilities. And fourth, give more freedom to the local government to use some accessible land and the other empty houses to build or to convert those unused houses into public welfare rental houses. And fifth is to well mobilize the market and invite multiple levels of players to join this process. And for the 6 institutions, we have received a lot of comments on the internet. People are very satisfied with those 6 institutions. First of all is the institution about the land use. For the unused land in the countryside, we can mobilize those resources. And second, we have simplified the approval process. For the qualified land, the local government have the right to approve the process of utilization, and then immediately the following work could come up and continue. And third, central government should give more support to the local government. And fourth, the reduction of the fees and taxes. The Central Office for the Budget and Taxation has co-published the document together with our ministry. Later on, it will meet the public. And fifth, we will give preferential prices about electricity and water as well as natural gas in the public welfare rental houses. In the city, if you want to ensure a sustainable development, first of all, you have to give the hope to the younger generation. And we have to, first of all, guarantee the basic living for the youngsters so that they can work harder to build a better future for this country. And also, this is an inevitable choice for us to sustain the basic living for the younger people so that we can improve the competitiveness of the cities in their path of development. That is why we have to make the firm determination to help the youngsters out, to give them full access to decent housing conditions. So moving forward, we will work harder to improve the living conditions for people, especially the younger generations in the cities. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the Red Star News. Recently, in some cities, people are suffering from the urban flooding. What are the measures that you have applied to help the people out? I will give the floor to Vice Minister Huang. For the discharge of the flooding water, it's a very important part of the city development. According to General Secretary Xi, we have to improve the capacity of discharging of the flooding water in the cities. For example, we have to turn our cities into the sponge-like cities. And once there's the flood or heavy rainfall, then immediately the water could be discharged away. And for the 14th five-year plan period, we have already elaborated policies. And I'd like to talk about the city flooding. We need a system in place in order to reach this goal. And for this system, it's composed of 3 subsystems. First of all, in the basin areas, for the cities residing by the side of the river, we have to give higher attention to this capacity of the discharging of the water. The drainage of the flooding water should be incorporated into the city's drainage system. We have to make sure that we have sufficient channels for the drainage of the extra flooding water. If it is blocked, then we cannot discharge or drain the flooding water out in the first place. And the second subsystem is the construction. We have to strengthen the vertical system of the drainage in the cities, because we know that due to the gravity, the water would also run from a higher place to the lower place. We also have to construct those tubes and also the other tunnels and channels for the drainage of the water. We also have to mobilize the pumping facilities and pumping stations. Until now, we have to admit that there's a still long road waiting for us ahead, and we have to continue with persistent efforts. Today, the local cities, they have already studied a lot and also elaborated their own versions of the drainage vertical system construction plan. And the third subsystem is the emergency response system. For the excessive rain water, the normal system of drainage cannot afford to drain all the flooding water out. Then in this case, we have to mobilize this early warning system and also the emergency response system. For example, we should immediately mobilize the capacity of the reservoirs and also the city drainage system, as well as the rivers outside the city. For example, last month in the city of Zhengzhou, so many people suffered from this sudden rainfall. And we have to draw the lessons from the past, and in the future, we have to strengthen both the 3 pillars, the 3 subsystems. During the 14th five-year plan period, we will work with the other authorities and administrations. We will put people on the first of our work agenda and coordinate development and safety so that we can continue to apply the decisions of the State Council about the promotion of this city's capacity of drainage of flooding water inside. We also have to strengthen the mechanism of the work of emergency response during the 14th five-year plan period. By 2025, we have to put in place a rather complete drainage system of the city flood so that we can always cope with a normal precipitation level, and for those excessive precipitation, then immediately we can also mobilize some backup forces. By 2030, we have to put an end to this city flooding in the normal circumstances. And you're also very curious about the spawned cities. This is a very important idea when talking about sustainable green development. It's like that we are making the cities more flexible, and we are expanding the areas inside a city that we can accumulate the water for a certain period of time. And we should not make all the grounds surfaces in a city the cemented road. Until now, we have already developed more than 30 pilot places in cities, and all those pilot spots, they are doing very well, and all those measures applied until now are proved to be very effective. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm from the CNS. Starting by the year 2018, your ministry had started a health check for the cities. What is the current progress and what is the future plan? Thank you very much. This is one part of our reform work inside the Ministry of Housing and Urban-Rural Development. Actually, this idea also came from President Xi. President Xi said that today a lot of cities have run into difficulties and challenges. We can also use the metaphor, the diseases of the cities. That's why we have to run the health check on the cities. The cities are also like human beings. They have life. They are like a living organism. And if the cities are sick, you have to give them the health check, the health examination to see where are the roots of the problems and how we can tackle this problem for the cities. And in recent years, we have followed the guidance and directions of President Xi to apply this process of the health check for the cities. We have several major methods for the health check. First is the auto check. It means the local municipal government should run an automatic check to find their own problems, to detect their own diseases. Second is to find a third-party service organization. They can use the big data to do the assessment of the city's performance from a more objective way. And the third method is to interview the public, to listen to the ideas of the mass. So in general, we have formed more than 60 indicators. In general, we have also 8 aspects of checks for the health, and we have a closed loop to run this service, and all those measures in place are very popular among people. We have selected 59 major cities to do this health check work, and we have already yielded a lot of fruit and progress. After the health check, we have solved a lot of existing problems with the city management. I will take the example of Chengdu City. During their health check, they have checked the alleys and also the houses and also the road conditions to see if they can make the daily life better for the people. And based on the 60 indicators from the central level. They have added extra indicators to run the health check. First of all, they have investigated the local landscape to find the existing problems, and for example, whether it's easy for people to circulate during the peak hours, how is people's daily life, and later on, they have selected 30 major tasks for the coming 14 five-year plan period. So those are 30 different fields to improve their performance. They also have 10 major improvement projects. They have clarified the authorities in charge, and they also have this assessment criteria to see whether the problems have been solved. What is the result? Currently in the city of Chengdu, they have this whole complete loop for the problem detection, for the problem solving, and for the monitoring of the performance. And according to our observation, this health check for the cities is very effective. It's also a very effective way for us to listen to the opinions of the people. If we can form this synergy together with the rest of the society, then we can make better investments and more targeted solutions. In the past, we only have divided efforts and separated efforts, but today we have unified the whole strength from the society. Moving forward, we have three major priorities of tasks. First of all, we have to enable more cities to apply this measure of this health check so that we can remove the existing problems. And second, we have to set up the systems and mechanisms of work accompanied by the IT platform and information technology. And the cities should also set up the early warning system and also be more smart in predicting the coming risks. And third, we have to apply this policy in the nationwide area. So all the pilot spots could generate good practices, then it can be applied across the country. Next question, please. I'm from the Xinhua News Agency. The cities are quite different from the past. Today, people have a more convenient life in the cities. So I have a question here. What are the major achievements that you have made in the recent years' urban development? I'd like to take this question. In my opening speech, I've mentioned that since reform and opening up policy, we have already put in place the largest progress for urbanization and also with the fastest speed. Usually, we would say that our cities look different day to day. You know that before reform opening up, the city of Shenzhen was only a small village of fishermen. Today, it's a super large city with more than 20 million residents. And the total surface is more than 1,900 square kilometers. And I believe that Shenzhen City can be considered as a very good window for the foreigners to see the progress of urbanization in China. Today, if you don't visit a city for 5 years, then you will always be surprised when you revisit the city. I don't know whether any of you are from the municipality of Chongqing. 5 years ago, you can still recall that the city is like the city built on the mountains, but today, the look has been completely changed. It's more modern and it's better looking. More specifically, I'd like to share with you the achievements we have made concerning the urban development. First of all, the infrastructure in cities. In 2020, the city road length reached 493,000 kilometers. Subway's distance reached more than 7,000 kilometers. So we are among the top countries in terms of this indicator. And also for the water supply and natural gas supply. In the cities, we have 99 and 97.9%. So that is already the level of the developed countries in the world. And third, for the living environment in the cities, it's been significantly improved. For 2020, the green surfaces in the cities reached 2.3 million hectares. And the green surface per capita is 14.8 square meters. We have also well managed daily garbages. We also have the sorting system for the daily garbage. Today, this sorting and classification of daily waste system has benefited more than 100 million people in the country. And also, we have put an end to that history of rivers with bad smells and bad quality of the water. In our country, 137 cities are considered as famous cities for the long history and culture. And also, we have the county levels, examples of culture and civilization. We also have protected a lot of historical sites. Today, we have entered a later phase for the urbanization progress. And for the urbanization, we have entered another stage of development, that is urban renewal. In the past, our focus was on the quantity, and now we have to shift that focus more to the quality side. We are about to continue to apply the central levels guidance for the strategy of promoting the city renewal and make the development a higher quality one. Of course, within a short period of time, we have already completed the path that has taken hundreds of years in the developed countries. And due to that extreme fast speed, we have encountered some problems and challenges. Sometimes the projects of construction are only for looking good, not for the real benefits of the people. In the future, we will try our best to correct those wrongdoings. And also for the underground facilities, for the buildings criteria, facing the extremely fast speed of development, how we can guarantee the quality of development, we have to think more about that topic so that we can make life better for the people in the future. Next, and also the last question for today. Thank you. We have to control the order of development of the real estate market so that we can better safeguard the interests of the people. And your ministry has decided to take 3 years to guarantee the good order and operation of the real estate market. Could you please share with us more details? Yes. We have to guarantee the good order of operation in the real estate market if we want to give good life or better living conditions for the people. Today, a lot of fake news and fake advertisements are popping up in the real estate market. And sometimes the transaction fees, they are not very transparent. People are suffering from the existing problems in this real estate market. In 2019, our ministry, together with 6 other authorities, has carried out a earmarked control program and endeavor in order to crack down those illegal actions in this real estate market. But still, after this campaign, we have not put an end to all the existing problems in this market. And later on, 8 ministries altogether have co-published other documents. We like to take 3 further years to normalize the order of the real estate market and continue to crack down the wrongdoings in the real estate market, set up a basic monitoring system, and form the synergy among the relevant authorities. And we would like to receive more contributions of opinions from the public side. First of all, we have to apply the legislative system and also well organize our endeavors to create a better and more healthier system. So that we can always publish the wrongdoers in the market and guarantee people's legitimate rights and interests. More specifically, first of all, we have to put the focus on the problems. The measures taken should be oriented by the problems. For the purchase, leasing of the houses, and also for the property services, as well as the issues of high interests of the people. Those are the areas that we have to start with. And second, we have to bear in mind the interests of the people and at the same time engage the endeavors of the people to ask them to join our efforts. And third, we have to unify our forces and form the synergy. Different departments and authorities should collaborate one with another, and we have to pull together our resources and coordinate our policies so that we can have a more coordinated management of the market of real estate. And fourth, we have to establish a long-term mechanism of management. We have to notice the existing problems, and we have to dig down to the root causes of the problems. Currently, in different places in China, actions are already on the way. For example, recently we heard the good news from the Hainan province. They have checked 711 projects of real estate development, covering more than 550 real estate developers and transaction agencies. For those wrongdoers, as much of 220, they are interviewed, and some of them are heavily punished. And recently, the Guangdong province has also discovered more than 50 agencies and departments violating the regulations, and they are also urging the related bodies to do the corrections. The wrongdoers, some of them are punished by the law and retained by the authorities. Moving forward, we will continue to urge the local departments and also local governments to apply the relevant measures to satisfy the demand of the people and also to manage the real estate market. In order to guarantee the basic living of the people and improve the quality of their life, we have to ensure the supply of the houses in the market and also continue to manage the good order of the real estate market. And I also hope that friends of the media could collaborate with our side in this endeavor. Thank you. Thank you very much for Minister Wang and two vice ministers. That is the end of today's press conference. Thank you.